Our warmest Christmas greetings on behalf of us all in the community of God Squad around the world. Now here in the Northern Hemisphere, winter is now setting in. Multiple layers are being worn by those still able to ride, but I must admit I do struggle with the long, really long sub-zero rides these days. It was good to return back to my hometown recently though, as I do every year in Reading, Berkshire, to take part in a Christmas toy run that I helped establish with a few mates nearly 40 years ago now. And over 1,000 participants from right across the motorcycling community continue each year to bring gifts to support a number of children's and young people's support services in the area. And for many who take part, including the local community who support it, it signals the start of Christmas celebrations as well as it being a long cold day. So here we are, Christmas 2023. And I want to bring a reflection partly inspired by the current series of weekly devotionals we've been bringing from Mark's Gospel. Now Mark doesn't tell us the story of Jesus' birth like Matthew and Luke do, but if he did, I wonder if it might have had this kind of flavour as he wrote to a community of people suffering under Rome's Emperor Nero. The whole Christmas story that we read and hear about this time of year finds its original home on the margins of society, and it's a story that continued on the margins. You see, a young Mary and Joseph travelled from Nazareth in Galilee south to Bethlehem in Judea near Jerusalem because the governing authorities told them to register for a census. This was Joseph's ancestral home originally in that area, but Galilee, compared to the southern areas of Jerusalem, was considered by some to have lost its way somewhat. Many thought the established order of Jewish faith was getting diluted by Greek and Roman influences up there. They had different accents more than likely, and then it was becoming more multicultural. Jesus' family, therefore, was from the dirty northern region of Galilee, as far as the southerners around Jerusalem were concerned anyway. Maybe that had some influence on why there didn't happen to be any room at the inn, as it were, for them. We don't want your sort round here, thank you very much. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, Jesus was born an outcast by geography and also by his relative poverty. Now the shepherds in the story are unlikely first guests at the birth of Christ. They were looked down on in their community. Their voice didn't count for anything, even in court, especially in court. They weren't even trusted enough to give evidence as a court process. But these shepherds weren't usually seen to matter particularly, and they certainly weren't heard. Yet out of the whole neighbourhood, they were the first to be invited and trusted. Maybe the first to cradle Jesus after his mother and his father. What does that tell us about the heart of this story that we sing about and hear read to us at Christmas time? And before long, the very presence of Jesus as an infant provoked a threatening response from the ruling class as they tried to silence his future influence. And so he became effectively a refugee in his homeland along with his parents, and they ran to Egypt, fleeing an act of genocide from Herod. And eventually this Christ child grew to be a constant thorn in the side of those who would wield power over the oppressed and those who would manipulate the system for their own advantage at the expense of the poor. Eventually, of course, actual thorns would also form a crown in his own head at his execution at the hands of a nervous governing authority. And whether we realise it or not, for all the tinsel and jingle bells, at the heart of this Christmas story is a radically subversive message and messenger that's on the side of the poor, that's on the side of the oppressed, and even today would join the challenge to challenge those in power who would dare to suggest, like one high-profile politician in my own country recently did, that homelessness, for example, is a lifestyle choice. Now, this is where the true hope of the Christmas story and message actually lies. Not in how generous or extravagant we can be in our giving and receiving of gifts, but in how scandalous and subversively beautiful is the love and grace of God that finds its best expression in Christ on the margins of society as he walked those dusty roads. So much of what we should celebrate in the Christmas story finds value in everyone, deliberately choosing to move to the margins of society and truly see people, not to show pity,
but to bring dignity, wholeness, real change, and the possibility of a new beginning in Christ. So when we say Happy Christmas, what I really mean is, whatever your circumstances, know that you matter. Know that you are loved. Know that you are not forgotten. And the invitation given to the shepherds extends to us all to gather in the company of Christ, to be welcomed, to bring worship, to adore. Now, I recognise that Christmas time is not always an easy time for many. For my own family this year, we've got another vacant chair that was filled by a loved one last year. Maybe this is the same for you too. We celebrate what we share together as families and community, but what we've lost or what we're struggling with right now colours so much. And I can't help but think about the ongoing struggles of our chapter community in Ukraine right now, facing another uncertain winter ahead. So my prayer is this: whatever your circumstances, whatever your experience, may something of the gift of God's grace, His mercy and His peace be yours and those who you love this Christmas. And we look forward to seeing you on the road this coming year, whatever that road might bring. Cheers, God bless you, and Happy Christmas.